Yo, yo, yo. Hey, guys, welcome back to another awesome edition of the Best Practices Show podcast. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope your week is off to a great start. And on Wednesdays, our job is to present practical solutions, things you can use. We get the question all the time, like, how does this get any better? How do I work less and gain more so I get my freedom back? Well, today, we're going to do just that. We did a presentation recently, myself and Dr. Barrett Straub, called Freedom Starts Here, Work Less and Gain More. We had so much fun that I thought we would share the audio on the podcast. So here it is. Please listen up. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Talking about where freedom starts. It starts here. And we're going to show you exactly how to work less and gain more. And I'll explain what that means as we get going. So we're excited to have you here. For those of you that are regular guests and part of the BPA community and the ACT dental community, welcome back. If you're new here, we're so excited to have you. Welcome. And I'm going to be leading the conversation. Barrett's going to be adding it. And then as you have questions that come in, Barrett, you okay manning the chat here?
Absolutely. Yep. And I'll post CE here shortly and all that stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. And then do you have your microphone? Would you mind queuing up your... We are a good team. We help each other. And so while he's queuing up his microphone, we just want to let you know, like one of the things, we are coming up on our quarterly study club called the To the Top Study Club. Now, here's what's so cool. We offer this all the time. We have a lot of takers of this, and it's so great. It's one of the most favorite things, I think, I'm speaking for myself, that we've ever done. And it's our regular study club that we do quarterly. We do it in person. We also have our virtuals. So this Friday, we have a virtual. And we get some of the best thinkers in dentistry, entrepreneurs ever. And we put them in a room and we guide the discussion, share our greatest tools, the newest learning, and they add to it and they add to each other. Each group is about 50. We're maxed out in 2 groups, and we have them on Fridays from 8 to 3. Now it's so cool and so much fun that you can come for free. We call it the golden ticket. You can show up and you can immerse yourself in the experience because we believe in it so much. We'll feed you it for free. You can come hang out. You can take all the information. And if you didn't like it, you don't have to stay. Now, I know that won't happen, but you're welcome to come. And being an entrepreneur is lonely. It's very, very hard. I can speak to that myself. And it's even harder trying to figure it out on your own. Don't do that. So you can join the To the Top Study Club. And it's our golden ticket. So if you're interested, you can reach out to Gina, Gina, on our team, and she'll roll out the red carpet for you. Now, another thing I always say during these classes is I just want you to know what we do. We're practice coaches. We only do 3 things, only 3. That's it. Number 1, we can give you all the information to create an amazing practice, and you can do it on your own. Then you can do it in a group, or we can do it for you. And I'll go back to doing it on your own is in the Best Practices Association. You can actually start the journey today for free. If you go back to the Google Play Store or the Apple Play Store, you can start the journey for free. And all of the information, and I do mean all of it, even today's class is back there. You can learn from it. You can share it with your team, and we'll guide you step by step on how to create a great practice and a great life. The second thing that we do is the To the Top Study Club, which I already mentioned. So you can do it on your own. You can do it in a group, and that's the To the Top Study Club. Or lastly, if you've tried everything, if you're like, I've tried everything, I've been in a lot of groups, I've done a lot of study clubs, I'm just so busy, I need some help, you can raise your hand and we will help you. And that's our one-on-one pro coaching program where we will hold you accountable to doing this. We can also talk to your team in a way that you can't talk to your team. in a nice way and help them see a better practice and a better life. And so if you're interested, you can join us there. And so a lot of this information comes from these three products or these three levels of service. So we're not just making this stuff up. This is what we do every single day. And the cool thing about what we're doing with tech now, the BPA app is so cool. I just learned this week that most of our clients, most of the people in the BPA, they actually like doing it on the desktop. They'll just fire up the desktop and they'll look at it on their desktop. I do it, same thing, and just look at it, and you can see all the great questions. It's an amazing community back there. You can post a question every day and go, hey, I need some help with this. And people go, I got you. I had the same problem. There are some great ones this week. So that is pretty cool. And then, like I said, you can download the Best Practices Association app. You're going to have to search for it, Best Practices Association. And you're going to see we're going to add stuff to it all the time. Barrett, anything you want to add before we just keep rolling?
No, let's keep going. I like it.
All right. So today's topic, big one, is freedom starts here. Work less and gain more. What does that mean? I'm going to be super, super specific and show you exactly what that means and then give you a treatment plan around it. Now, I always like to start here. Why is this so important in dentistry? I think it's one of the most important subjects ever because you as a dentist, you're going to go to work hard. But I want you to, at the end of the day, go, that was worth it. That was totally worth it. And success in dentistry just isn't about revenue. It's about building a practice that supports your life. The reason you became a dentist is you wanted a great life. You just didn't want to make a ton of money. And you want to live that life. And we believe the ultimate measure of success at the end of the day is how many days you actually work. I want you to think about that. Time is the new rich. I might say that a couple times. I don't care what people produce. I want to know what your life looks like at the end of the day. Because when you get older like me, the days go faster and you want to capture them as much as possible. So what we're going to do today is show you this. When you intentionally design your schedule, optimize your production, and align your practice with your personal and financial goals, you can create a better practice and a better life. I'm going to make this challenge. You can come up with crazy stuff. Send me an email and go, I want to make this much money. I want to work this many days, and I want to practice this hard. I guarantee you with the GAPS formula and all of we can make it happen. Now, here's the caveat. You have to do the work, but I can map this out as well as Barrett or any of our coaches predictably. And that's my challenge to you if you're listening to this. So again, why is this important? Your practice has to serve your life, not the other way around. People build practices all the time, and their practice is their life. They try to squeeze in life. Don't do that. And by defining the number of days that you work, you can take control of your schedule instead of it letting it control you. And it's natural. I mean, if you're just starting this journey, you can equate to more days, more potential production. And we want you to break that chain. And profitability is not about working more. I can't say that enough. It's about working smarter. Now, I actually don't like that phrase. People go, work smart, not hard. But very few people ever define it. I'm going to define it for you today. It's easy to say work smart, not hard. But what does that mean? Let's go there today. Optimizing production allows you to reach your financial goals without adding any more hours, any more stress, any more operatories, any more producers. You can do it. And it's very, very predictable. Let's go there. What does smarter, harder mean? You could take a screenshot of this if you're watching the video. Practice 1 on the left side is one scenario. Practice 2 on the right side in green is the second scenario. And let's call number 1 in the red harder and the other one smarter. So oftentimes we take a dentist who's producing, anywhere between $1.3 and $2.1 million. It depends. And I'm talking about a single doctor, maybe 2 hygienists. And they're in this range. And so I'm going to just pick 1.5 million because that's easy math today. And Barrett says this all the time. I think gross production is one of the most useless numbers. And so I'm going to walk through this quickly and then we're going to break it down. When your buddy says, I do 1.5 and you go, I do 1.5 too, that does not mean the same thing. They could actually be completely different practices. Let me explain. Because your gross production might be the same, but one writes off 33%. The other one writes off 10%. It's not the same deal. One has 10 plus team members. One has 7. The net production in the harder practice is $1,005,000. The net production in the smarter practice is 1.35 million. That is not the same thing. Now, here's the cool part. That's a difference of $345,000 in collectible production. But this is what I'm trying to say. The harder practice works 220 days. 220. That's crazy. The smarter practice works 180, which is a way better life. You're talking about a difference of 40 days. But here's the big deal. When you're running off 33%, this is simple math, and this is just where we start. That means you're working 72.6 days for free in the harder practice. That's 4 months. You're just going to work, gloving up, working on patients, and you're not collecting any money. And I could argue you're actually paying, so you're working more for free than just those days. Practice on the right, 15 days now. This is so important. The practice that's smarter, they are giving away days for free, but you're choosing to give this dentistry away. You're picking and choosing. I want to do this for a teacher. I want to do this for a pastor. I want to do this for the underserved. I want to do this for a family member, of a team member. On the left, you have very little, if no choice in who you're giving all your discounts away. Actually, you're giving your discounts away to the insurance company. So not to belabor that, but you're looking at a different practice. The harder practice has 3,300 patients. The smarter practice has 1,200 patients. Do you want 3,300 or 1,200? You don't need every patient in your practice. And your annual patient value, which we're going to come back to, is much higher in your smarter practice. So that's definition of harder versus smarter. Now we're going to go deeper into this. And I want you to like have a conversation with your team members about this and how this all works. Now there's so much chatter about like, I can't pay my team members. I got to pay team members. The smarter practice can afford to pay really great wages because you're profitable. You actually have a great work-life balance. You only work 180 days a year. It's a calmer pace. It's slow. You're laughing. And you have a lot of money left over at the end of the month. The harder one doesn't have any money to pay really great wages. And it's poor work-life balance. You're working crazy hours. It's much faster. I guarantee you it's faster. And you have little or no money left at the end of the month. There's two ways to do this. You can do it smarter or you can do it harder. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And your schedule is a big piece of this. Your schedule is a direct reflection of your systems and efficiency. I always say this, send me your gaps and send me your schedule and I'll tell you everything about you. I don't even need to meet you. I don't even need to know if you're tall, you're short. I'll tell you how much your patients value what you do, how well your business is run, how crazy your office is. You guys could do this too. That actually would be a fun webinar. Let me throw up a gaps and let me throw out a schedule and then have everybody chime in. What do you think is going on here? It tells us everything. And what we want you to do is have a well-structured schedule so it can ensure capacity is maximized without overloading your team. People think growing a practice makes things better. No, you can wear a team thin, you can wear dentist thin, and actually it compromises the care you provide to the people you serve. But freedom is a big word. I really believe that's a big reason why anybody became a dentist. Freedom of choice, freedom where to practice, freedom of your hours, freedom to do the right thing. And when you don't do that, you lose the freedom. Freedom starts with intentional planning. And that's what we're going to cover today. When you set really clear goals for your practice, align your schedule to those goals and optimize your operations, you can create an amazing practice. No one ever fails at this. And I'm going to show you exactly we don't have enough time to show you exactly everything, but really the ideology around it. Now we're going to start with number one. Define your ideal work schedule because life is going to go fast. You're going to blink and you're going to be me if you're not careful. I'm 54, getting ready to turn 55. That's crazy how fast that goes. So I want you today to define your ideal work schedule. Now we'll work backwards. I want you to establish how many clinical days you want to work each year, starting with this year, 2025. Let's just start. You have to start with how many days do you actually work, and then define how many clinical days you want to work. Now, according to the ADA, Health Policy Institute, this has skyrocketed in years. The recent data shows that the average dentist works 1,758 clinical hours a year. Now, let's assume that's 8 hours a day. That's the equivalent of 220 days a year. That's crazy. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. Whenever we would find a dentist that was 200 days a year, my first thought is that's nuts. And then it was 209. And now the national average is 220. It's crazy. Our best practices work in the 180s or 170s, depending on what kind of practice they have. And time is the new rich. And we see so many people. There's probably over 1,000 practices in the United States that have been involved with the BPA or our lectures that have changed their hours to 7 to 3 straight through, and they do it 4 days a week. Now, I'm not telling you to go 7 to 3. You could do 8 to 4. You could do whatever you want. But I'm here to tell you, you could do whatever you want. And I love these texts. One of my favorite texts is from Jake Kirby, Tyler, Texas. The first month in January, actually our best month ever when we changed our hours. He had 19 team members when he sent me this. It's crazy. So you got to reverse engineer your production goals. So here, I'm going to say this again. Just define how many days you want to work and work backwards. And now you can start to build the schedule. We're going to identify what needs to change in your practice to support this vision, because there are roadblocks. A lot of them are self-limiting beliefs, meaning patients won't come in during the day. Patients won't pay for our dentistry. My fees are too high. There's all these beliefs that get in the way, or I could never do it here. And that's part of what we do in coaching. We want to take a look at your fee structure and procedure mix. You may need to adjust your fee schedule or focus on higher value procedures to maintain or increase your profitability during these days. There are a lot of people, I'm like, why are you charging $800 for a crown? And they're like, wow, I didn't even know I was doing that. You have to charge for your expertise, and you got to do a good mix of services. And you got to decide how you want to experience yourself in dentistry. So that's critically important. The next piece is we got to optimize your schedule. Minimizing your cancellations and using block scheduling. Make sure every day is efficiently scheduled as possible. And I'm going to pause there just for a breath because I've been talking a lot and I have a lot to cover. But Barrett, anything you want to add to this before we go on?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of dentists out there that when you hear the word define your ideal work schedule and you think about why am I working the way I want, why am I working the way I currently am? It's often not based on intentionality. It's based on need. And a lot goes back to that first slide where you had number of active patients. An active patient is only someone that's been in your practice in the last 18 months. So just by that alone, we know that if we know how many days you worked in your active patients, we know how busy your practice is. Just on those two metrics alone. If you have 3,000 active patients versus 1,200, that's a much busier practice. Now, there's only so many hours in the day, right? And so when we need to see that many patients and we see them, we know that the treatment per patient is probably lower. APV, annual patient value, is basically like what's the revenue per patient? And in those high volume practices with lots of patients, they need to be high volume because their APV or revenue per patient is low. When that number moves up, now we have the ability to work less and see less patients because we're having more revenue, more treatment, more diagnosis, more acceptance. We're doing more on less patients. That allows us now to get closer to this ideal day. So you can see it's nothing more than how do I want to work? Now let's use some numbers and tweak some gaps and just simply get there.
Yeah, I love what you said. It's so true. Well, I'll share with you some of the internal dialogue we have during our meetings. And our coaches will joke, they often like to see APV first before they start coaching a practice because it tells you so much. So if the APV, annual patient value, which is your collections divided by the number of active patients, is in the 200s, you already know people don't value dentistry, or the team and the doctor don't, and it's a high volume, less retention of patients. In that type of situation, it's a lot more work, and we can do that. We definitely do that. But when we get a doctor who's an APV north of 1,000, we're like, wow. Their patients trust them. They value their dentistry. They come to you because of you, not because you're on a list, not because you're cheap, not because you're easy. And they refer other people that are in the same APV category. They go, I know you're expensive, Dr. Straub, and I got to pay in advance. And you go, yeah, come on back. Nice to meet you. What's your name? You know what I mean? So it's really cool when that starts to happen. Now, the schedule thing is a big one. Remember, start with your schedule, how many days you want to work. Think about all of these things. And now we're going to reverse engineer the schedule. And we have an amazing tool back in the Best Practices Association. Now, you have to be a premium member there, but we walk you through step by step how to do this. And it's an awesome tool. How to schedule it in the computer, how to rethink it, how to put all of these things in place so that you don't have to go back to your team and go, I have an idea. I've done that. That doesn't really work very well. It's great when you have a tool and you say, let's do this. Let's use this tool and let's make our lives better. I'm telling you right now, they will appreciate that you've made a decision. We're going to work these hours. We're going to go in this direction and we're going to get the schedule right, because the schedule is a hot mess for most offices. The more you control the time around what you do during your days, the more you control your destiny in dentistry. So it's really important. The next thing I want you to think about is, like, there's a lot that you do and you hold on to it because you don't think anyone is smart. If you're a dentist, you don't want to delegate anything because no one can do it like you do, whether it be photography. You got to train and develop your team to handle more so that you can focus on what matters most. I use this slide all the time, and I got it from Dr. Pete Dawson. You have to determine, where is your circle? Where's your focus every single day? Because your focus can't be everywhere. It's got to be on the things that move the needle for the practice. And most of it is going to be on treatment planning, doing the dentistry, talking to patients, not walking up to the front, trying to figure out what happened in the practice. So make sure you're good about delegating the things someone else can do. And now you'll start to free up time. And I use the example of photography, but once a dentist makes the decision, I'm going to develop my team and let them take the photos, you now have freed up thousands and thousands and thousands of hours if you're a young dentist. So it's so important to delegate and elevate your team members. Your team members will appreciate it too, because now they're just not a simple role. Now they have much more of a valuable role in the practice. And that's part of what leadership is growing other people that can truly be leaders in your practice. A big piece of this is you got to improve your case acceptance, how you communicate with patients to get more treatment that patients actually want to do in fewer visits. Now, that's a whole nother webinar, but really, if your case acceptance is pretty low, that's a great place for us to start. And it really doesn't have a lot to do with your technical skills at first. It has most to do with your communication and how we connect with patients when we're getting started in this.
Let me pause there for a second, Kirk.
Please.
So if you're reaching that 1.5 million gross production, let's go back to those first two examples. You don't have to go back to the slide.
You bet.
You can stay right where you are. But okay, the red practice, they do a little bit of dentistry on each patient. They're 1 or 2 tooth dentists. Maybe heavily involved in insurance. Patients just do what insurance covers. And we're just in that rhythm of just doing a little bit. In that case, I, as that dentist, need to see a bunch of patients, and I need to work as many days as possible so that I can get my production up to 1.5. Okay, and then we're not even talking about the profitability yet. Right. But if I have the skills, the communication skills, and the knowledge and talent to be able to comprehensively diagnose, present treatment, gain acceptance, and then deliver at bigger cases, and we're not talking about everyone has to be full arch, all on 4 every day. I'm just talking about even quadrant dentistry where I can tick that APV up. I can do more dentistry per patient, well above and beyond what their insurance covers or doesn't cover. Now, I don't have to see as many patients to get to 1.5, nor do I have to work as many days to get to 1.5.
Yeah.
And so sometimes business modeling is nothing more than numbers. Now, what's hidden in these numbers is that skill and clinical ability. You have to have it on the shelf to be able to sell it. Not everyone can be green right out of dental school. You have to skill up to get there. But knowing how the numbers will result in that working smarter, not harder, the path to get there gets a lot more clear for a lot of dentists once we know this stuff.
Yeah. I'm so glad you said that because it prompted another thought. And let's just go there if you're listening to this. You want to create a great practice? I'm going to give you the simple metrics and we're going to go right there. You only need like 1,500 patients, 1,200 to 1,500. The better you are, the less you need. Some of our best producers, they don't need 1,500 because that's too many. They only need like 900 patients or 1,000 patients. I want you to think about that. So let's start with 1,500. Let's just say you're watching this and you're a young dentist, you're just getting started. You only need 1,500 patients. If you spend the next 3 decades looking for the right people, and every time you lose one, you try to replace it with the right type of patient, and you're just set on 1,500. And you could extrapolate if you have multiple doctors, but let's say you're a 1 doctor, 2 hygiene practice. Your full-time hygienist can only see 750. The math is perfectly aligned if you see patients twice a year. So if you have 2 full-time hygienists and you're a doc by yourself, 1,500 patients, 750, and you keep developing these relationships and getting better at your business, you're now officially working smarter, not harder. You don't need 3,300 people. You don't need new marketing. You don't need more producers. People do things all the time. I'm like, why are you doing this? And they're like, I got to make more money. I'm like, you're going to produce more, but you're not going to make more money. And so I think it's important. You got to decide like how much is enough. And I'm so glad you said that, buddy. So it's really, really important. Now, I want to go back to, we talked about schedule. And when we got down here, we're talking about, just jump ahead here real quick. Improvement case acceptance. Now, there's a couple other caveats to this. Let's give you some more details on your treatment plan. You're going to want to maximize PPD and PPV. Now, Barrett just mentioned APV, which is annual patient value, but let's go into these other 2 metrics. We're doing this thing called Metrics Monday. You got to join us on our podcast. Every Monday, we're taking apart 2 metrics that move the needle in your practice and make a huge difference. PPD and PPV do the same. Let me explain. You're going to want to maximize both of these, and I'll go through each one of them. But to work fewer days while maintaining or increasing profitability, you need to focus on these 2 KPIs. Once you get the schedule set, once you've determined a direction, now you're going to pay attention to these 2 indicators. PPD is production per day. That's the total potential revenue generated in a single day. The higher the production per day means you can reach your revenue goals if you're collecting all of that. Now, we could talk about gross PPD or net PPD if we wanted to in fewer clinical days. That's the ticket. And Barrett designed this for us because he was a practicing dentist, and this is really important. So people always say, well, how am I going to produce more? It starts with knowing this metric. Instead of adding more days, see, once you know PPD, production per day, you don't need to add more days to increase profitability. You can just focus on doing better during the hours that you're working, and it allows you to cut back on these clinical days without sacrificing your income. Now, let's use the same example I showed. And what I didn't show you before, I'm going to give you new data in smarter versus harder. So let's go back to the original 1.5 million, 1.5 million. One practice, the harder practice, works 220 days. That's a lot. The smarter practices work 180 days or sometimes even 170 to get to the gross production number of 1.5. Let's do the math on that. The harder practice generates gross production of $6,818. Now, they're also writing off 33% of that. So it's potential production. It's not net production. The smarter practice is generating production per day of 8,333 days. It's not about their fees. It's not about being exclusive. It's not about being elite. They've chosen a direction. They built a patient base that values what they do, that pays their full fee. For the most part, they collect the full fee. And that is a quantum leap between these 2 practices. Anything you would add on this, Barrett, before I go to the next metric?
No, keep going. You're right on the money.
All right. So the next one is production per visit. So I want to make sure that you understand production per day. Now we can go granular again, gross production per day or net production per day, but let's start with gross production per day. Because
let me interject one quick second. I can tell you how to know what you're going to produce this year. And it's simple. What are you currently producing per day in your office? Every day that your office is open, there's a dollar value that you produce. Take that number and multiply it by the amount of days you're going to be open this year. And if you do nothing to change either one of them, that's your gross production. And so you can establish that now versus getting to the end of the year and saying, I thought it would have been higher. Why did I only produce X? Now, if you don't like the result of that equation, you can say, I need to increase my PPD or I need to work more days, right? There's only two ways to produce more. Work more days, which we don't love, but do more per day. And so that's just knowing that I can tell you what you're going to produce this year based on just two numbers. What's your current PPD and how many days are you planning to be open? That's what you're going to produce in 2025, unless you intentionally make efforts to change that.
Yeah. Love that you said that. And that's what our coaches do. They can analyze a day and go, listen, you're working a lot, but you're not producing enough. A lot of times it is just scheduling the right patients at the right time, minimizing cancellations, which we'll talk about. And just by doing a simple few things, you're going to see your production is going to go up. And it's amazing how mathematically, correct this is when you start to, now it's not perfect, but you'll have days you're like, wow, that's crazy. It's just that simple. PPD. Now I want to talk about the other metric, which is production per visit. Now that's the average revenue generated per patient visit, production per visit. Now, higher PPV means fewer patients needed to be added to achieve your goals. Now, each appointment generates more revenue. So as you can see, the better you get at this, you're doing it over and over and over again. You can now start to improve profitability without adding days, ops, all of those things. Now let's go back. Remember, I said production per day. So the harder practice, production per day was 6,818. Smarter was 8,333. Now let's go deeper. The harder practice, 20 patients in the doctor's schedule and 2 hygienists seeing 8 patients a day, assuming they're working 1 hour a day. That's 36 patients a day the harder practice saw. The smarter practice saw half of that, 10 patients, and still had 16, 8 and 8. That's 26 patients. You do the math on that, the PPV, production per visit, for the day, let's just start with the day. The harder practice was $189 per visit. And the smarter practice is now in a realm where it's 320 days. So as you can see, by taking these steps, you're truly moving from, working harder to working smarter. And even if you just do it a little bit, $189 per visit, that's what great hygienists do. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what they do. Some of our hygienists, they do that on their own in the BPA community and a lot more. Now, I don't want you to feel bad about that, but I want you to know the truth of it. If your practice is just doing that across the board, we need to become more valuable for the people we serve, one patient at a time, one day at a time. And here's what's really cool about the gaps or any of these. You make one change. It has a compounding effect. Let's say you change it from 189 and you go to 210. That's great. Now it's compounding its effect on your practice. Then we go to 250. Then you take a course and you're like, wow, I can actually talk to patients about this stuff. Every little change you make and everything you do in the gaps formula, it creates one more dollar profit and you start to enjoy your life a little bit better. Anything else you would bear?
I would say the dentists out there, a lot of them are saying, yeah, but what about a denture check or a follow-up that's free? Yes, all visits are not created equal. Some are $0 revenue by design. That's okay. It's an average throughout time. It's an average of all your visits. But what the production per visit mindset means is every visit you go in thinking, if I maximize this visit, done in an ethical and reasonable way, if I maximize this visit, every visit, the day gets maximized. And if I maximize every day, PPD, APV gets maximized. And therefore, my time, my efficiency, my practice gets maximized. So it's just working down. How do you improve your annual every day, PPD. How do you improve your day every visit? You go into every visit saying, boy, I'm going to do 3 resins today instead of just 1 and then another one and then another one. Or I'm going to add that fluoride, or I'm going to take that x-ray. I'm going to maximize the time the patient's here. And in that mindset will easily take it from 189 to 210 without you even feeling that you did anything more or different.
I love it. I love it. I don't stay on social media so much, but to piggyback on what Barrett's saying is like, there's a big trend now on what to teach kids. Do you teach kids to chase money or create value? Well, that's clear. You get them to focus on creating value, because when you create value, it brings a lot of money behind. Now, I love that because I tell my kids this all the time. Don't go to the world and ask the world for money. Go to the world and create value, and then people will go, how do I pay you? You know, and the same principle applies here. If you've been listening for a long time, you know that one of my favorite jobs I ever had in my life was at Applebee's. Now, whether you like Applebee's or not, doesn't matter, but I was the 3-time employee of the month at Applebee's. Now, here's what's so important. My check average, this is what I was proud, like my check average was twice what some other servers were. It had nothing to do with the money. I wanted to make people to feel good. I wanted them to enjoy it. Now, yes, with that came tips, but here's the tip of the iceberg. You had repeat customers that go, I want to sit in his section. You had people that stayed a long time. They brought their friends in. Like, I got the choice of things. You open up so many doors when you start the whole idea of, I'm going to create more value for the people I serve. They came back more frequently, which meant it was a slam dunk. So check average is the same thing as production per visit. How do I create more value for each one of these people? And again, I'll say this again. People refer people that are just like them. They go, you got to go to my dentist, Dr. Barrett Straub. He's crazy expensive, but he's so worth it. And that's how you build an amazing practice, not through Facebook ads. So it's good stuff.
What's the country song that talks about Applebee's?
Oh,
Fancy Like?
Is it Fancy Like?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Don't even go there. I was Bourbon Street Steak and Oreo Shake.
Right.
I was cool before that song even came. I knew what that meant. Like the second that came out, I'm like, I know exactly what that meant.
Fancy Like.
And actually, Bourbon Street Steak, if any of you ever were an Apple buddy with me, like that was the most expensive thing on the menu.
So what makes it a Bourbon Street steak?
It wasn't great. Like I'll just say
some gravy and stuff on it.
It was just a big steak on this sizzler, and it had all these, other things. But it was expensive. It was very expensive
for Applebee's. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard that song, go check it out and think of Kirk serving Bourbon Street steaks.
Don't even
in the back corner of the Applebee's. And
oh my gosh, it was just great. It was great. So. Now, a couple other pieces to your treatment plan is you got to optimize schedule capacity. Capacity in this context refers to what percentage of your available clinical hours are actually scheduled. People in the industry define it differently. Capacity is how many apps, how much more can we do? That's potential capacity. Real capacity is like, what do we have and how full is it? Think of it as a restaurant. We have 10 tables, they're full all the time. Or if we had a cruise ship, we have 320 cabins, they're full all the time. We don't need to add cabins. We don't need to add all these things. What we have is full. And when you grow, you're growing from a position of strength, knowing we're going to expand and we're going to keep it super tight. A fully optimized schedule, meaning your capacity is full. It allows you and ensures that your time spent is maximizing production in fewer days. Now, there's a capacity issue in dentistry. It's a big one. Everybody can have 100% capacity. Let me say this, 95% capacity. You got to track it. And so this is one of my favorites. I love this one because, Barrett, you gave me this one. This is so great. This
is actual from my practice. I literally pulled it off the kitchen or the cafeteria wall.
Now, if you're watching the video of this, here's why I love it so much. The first time I saw it, no one even needed to describe it. I'm like, this is brilliant. This is the secret right here. And I want you to describe what this is, Barrett, like if you're looking at the screen.
So the only thing worse than working 220 days is the knowledge that I only saw 182 days of patients during that 220 days. And that's what's happening when you retroactively go and find out, I'm really busy, but my chairs are only full 88% of the time. And so the only way to know that is to retroactively calculate it. So there's a difference between how full your schedule is when you show up in the morning and then what actually happened. And it's a simple manual task. Sally, my hygienist, everyone who had a chair, so the hygienist and the assistants would fill this out every day. So it's May whatever and May 2nd, and there's 8 hours available in her hygiene chair, and maybe 8 were scheduled that day, but 2 no-showed, or 1 no-showed and 1 canceled. So on May 2nd, there are 6 of those hours with butts in the chair. So she writes 8 available, 6 butts in the chair. On the 4th, 8, and there was 6.5. You can obviously get the math, and over time you say how many hours were available in May in Sally's hygiene chair, and of those total hours, how many hours had a butt in the chair? 98.5 divided by 109.5, you get 90%. Yeah. Now I know there's 10% availability, right? So am I gonna add hours to Sally? Or am I first going to at least fill 5% of that time? You can't be 100%, but you got to maximize it. So most people that believe that they are so busy, they are, but they're not as busy as they think they are. The percentage will be less than you guess.
Yeah. Now, what's really cool about something simple like this is it's a tool. You don't need to manage it every single day. You give it to your people, your assistants, and your hygienists and say, I want you to track capacity. And all you're doing is making this information transparent. So they're tracking. They have a lot of questions like, have them track it. And it might not be great the first month, but it's a starting place. Now you're going to see your hygienists are going to be different. One's going to be at 94% and another one might be at 75%. What a great opportunity to say, what's happening in one op and not the other one? It might be verbal skills. Together, we're going to work together to see how we can bring everybody's capacity up. You as the dentist can't track this. It has to be on the team member. The team member, any good team member, will go, wow, I'm at 90%. Where should I be at? And I'll tell you, you should be at 92 to 95%. And if I'm a great hygienist, I'm like, well, how do I do that? That's a great question. Let's talk about it. Let's find out how we can do that. So having them do this, track it, and turn it in every single month is the first place to start. You just got to know this number and say, I'm here to help you. Let's keep moving. Now, here's another reason why this is so important. Let me go into the profitability thing. If you're a hygienist, you're Sally, and you're working 8 hours a day, 1 patient a day, you have 1 cancellation, you've cut the profit in half. You have a second cancellation, you're now working for free. And if you have a third cancellation, I can guarantee you're working at a deficit. You're actually losing money in that column. And it would make mathematical sense to send the 5 patients home and send Sally home also. But that's silly. No one would do that. You have to make sure that we're making adjustments in the right direction. One more caveat is this. We have a lot of ex-hygienists as coaches here. And they always share like, wow, I always thought a cancellation was awesome. And now I realize it isn't awesome. Chris, who's our director of coaching, is like, man, I used to sharpen instruments. I loved cancellations. I'd get caught up. I would take a breather. I would have my lunch. I would talk to people. And now I realize, oh my gosh, that was terrible. And so any good-hearted person will want to succeed on their own and with your help as a coach. And that's why capacity is so important. So it's critical you have a system for this. And we have Capacity Tracker back in the BPA. It's easy. And if you struggle with this, we can help you.
So let's assume a practice is at total practice at 85% utilization.
Yeah.
So if you know that, and you know your production per day, and you're like, I'm at 85. What if I was 95? Add 10% of that dollar value back on your production per day, then add it by the days you're working. And you're like, oh my God, I just got to fill the chairs I have, and I'm all the way up there without building another op or buying another practice or adding Saturday hours to Sally's schedule. I mean, you can do the math and say, man, if we just fill 1 more hour a day, our production goes up. I'm able to now pay bonuses and all that stuff. So it's usually just a math problem. Yeah. But we have to know the numbers first.
I love that. Now, you mentioned one thing. I want you to add some clarity. You mentioned give this to the assistants. What are the assistants doing with this?
They're doing your operatory chair. So I personally had 5 ops. I worked out of 2 hygiene, 2 of mine, and 1 was an overflow. So each hygienist was in charge of filling out this sheet for her chair, and each assistant was in charge of filling this out for their preliminary op chair. And however many operatories you're expecting to be full, you fill out a sheet. If you have an overflow, that's just an overflow. You can or you don't need to fill that out.
Yeah. The data doesn't lie. What it does is it shows you inefficiencies. You can instantly say, let's fix that, instead of adding another op that costs a ton of money and you have to find another person or two to man the op. Mm-hmm. And so we want you to be smarter, not work harder. Make sense?
Right. Absolutely.
And so let's go a little bit more. How does that support my freedom goals? A couple other things to consider. You're going to want to pre-appoint patients strategically. If you have 3,300 patients, not all these patients are good for you. You have to selectively invite the right ones back. And pre-appointment is really important. I like the bib. I don't have a picture of the bib, but the bib is one of my favorite. The patient bib is called the seatbelt. You should train patients. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. No one touches that. I only touch that. We finish one last thing before you take that off. We're going to get you scheduled for your next appointment, because the second you take off a bib, man, they're doing the swim move. They are good at sneaking out. They are so quick to go, I'm out of here. Don't let them touch the bib. You want to ensure patients leave with their next appointment and it's predictable. Again, you're taking a look at your schedule. So it's really simple. Like a patient, your hygienist might say, hey, listen, I'm going to pre-appoint the patients that show up and they pay and they're good patients. Some patients have canceled 13 times. Don't put them back in your schedule. No law is requiring you in dentistry to reschedule or pre-appoint these patients. Pre-appoint the good ones that want to show up and they want to pay. And you want to implement a system for this. And again, we have a lot of examples back in the BPA to avoid the gaps in production. You can do this predictably. What's really fun about being a coach, like people are always like, isn't it hard to coach dentists? From a behavioral standpoint, it is. Like getting somebody to do something or be a better leader, that's our biggest challenge. But mathematically, it's easy. Like diagnosing a dental practice is crazy easy. If you guys came to watch us work for a day, you would look at all the metrics and you go, oh my gosh, I know exactly what's going on. Look at all the cancellations. Look, mathematically, it's really actually a very simple model to diagnose what needs to be fixed next. The people thing is the X factor. And so that's a whole nother class. We also want to minimize these cancellations. You can't let people cancel. I'll say this. However you do it, you can't let them. If somebody calls to cancel, you can't say, that's okay. No. I'm not. If I came to work at your front office, first of all, you'd fire me after a day. My first thought was like, oh, no one's canceling. If a younger male calls and tries to cancel, my first thought is try to cancel, little boy. You're coming in. I am going to make you come in. Now you can't mess with like things, illness, but a lot of people come up with really lousy excuses, and you have to teach people this. We train people how to behave in a dental practice. We train them how to show up. We train them how to behave. We train them how to value our practice. And that's important. You have to train patients. So you want to build value for the next visit when you're scheduling. You want to establish some really strong reminder systems. The reminder systems aren't the fail-proof thing. They're just one layer. I'll find a way to cancel no matter how much you try to remind me if I don't value the appointment. But people do like to be reminded of their appointments. I do. And there's a difference between confirming appointment and reminding somebody appointment. Like I like to say this, and I heard a hygienist say, we consider all appointments confirmed when scheduled. If you would like a reminder, I'm happy to do that. But let's confirm this appointment right now. And you can do that through so many different systems. And you want to set clear cancellation policies in place. Now, policy, I don't love the word, but it's a system to educate patients on the importance of keeping their scheduled visit. It's not about attaching a fee when they cancel. No, it's a system to let you know that you can't cancel. And the system is guided by number of strikes. And when you create appointment codes like no-show, late, cancel, you can actually start to track these behaviors, and you can set schedule alerts that when the third one is entered, we got to have a sit down because you have now shown me who you are, and you're clearly not valued. Now, that's not the patient's fault. It's our fault. We have to set clear cancellation policies around it. And again, If you go back in the BPA, we have tons of resources. We actually have a great one that it's the 10 best practices in 30 years of doing this that you can put into play today and reduce cancellations, even by a little bit. It's awesome. Let's do some final takeaways. Barrett, any thoughts before we go bring this home?
No, let's do it.
All right. So lastly, it's a lot of information, so I appreciate you guys being on. But I want to bring it home with a couple things. You didn't build your practice just to be trapped by it. The long hours, constant demands, and the feeling there's never enough time for yourself or your family, and even a moment to breathe, it's going to wear on you. It's going to wear on your relationships. You will eventually not like dentistry, but it's not dentistry. It's how you do dentistry. I'm here to tell you firsthand, you can have an amazing practice and an amazing life, but you have to be extremely intentional about how to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, there are people out there that do this professionally. Your practice should give you the freedom. When you practice 180 days or 175, I guarantee you're like, dentistry is a great profession. I love it. Like, I have time. I can golf. I can go to courses. I have the ability to do what I want with my time. Time is the new rich. And we want you to enjoy going to work, not thinking. And I'll be the first to say, nothing created more resentment for my job when it took away my personal time and it was unexpected. Like, when I'm working and I know I should be with my family, I'm angry. And so is my wife and my kids. So, like, don't do that. So set your ideal schedule. I'll leave it with a couple last thoughts. You guys, this is America. Think about this. The United States of America, you can do whatever you want. You can watch this today, go, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm not doing Saturdays. I'm not doing evenings. And I'm going to a regular schedule. And you won't fail. I'm here to tell you, you won't fail. You'll figure all the other pieces out and you'll make it happen. You want to define the number of clinical days you're willing to give to this great profession. Don't give extra blood and stomach lining just to try to make more money. Now, it can happen, but when you recognize it's happening, say, I'm not doing this anymore, and stop. And, you don't have to have a perfect practice. Let's say you're watching today and you're like, oh, my practice is the harder one. Start somewhere. If you're working 220 days, let's go to 210. Then let's go to 200. Let's go over 190. You can do what Pete Dawson told me years ago. He said, Kirk, you can be an overnight success in 5 years in dentistry. And his point was like, just set the sail, do a little bit every single year, and you'll go, wow, I can breathe better. I can see more. I feel better. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. Again, we have the Best Practices Association app. We've got our To the Top Study Club. Feel free to join us. I dare you to join us. I think you'll love it. And we have our pro coaching program, and we're so excited. So
I put the CE in the chat, so you just have to hit that link, and you got the codes right there. If you want to watch this recording or all the recordings of all our webinars and master classes, just go into the BPA and download Basic for free. And if you want the tools, come on and join us Premium. It's only $100 a month. It's a steal, and we're here to help. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to send us questions. You can email me, Kirk at Act Dental, or Barrett, Barrett,
nice.
at actdental.com. We're here to help you. We want to be helpful. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and we will see you back in the BPA. Have a great day, everybody.